This is Vermont Kane with Warframe Breakdown, where we break down Warframe so you can be broken in Warframe. Today we're going over the 5 worst Helminth abilities that you can throw on your Warframe. So, to get started off, to understand the conditions on why these ones were labeled the 5 worst, is these abilities, when you activate them inside of game, these either did nothing or they did less than nothing. I know that's kind of hard to imagine them doing less than nothing, but it is possible for these abilities to do less than nothing. So the very first one we're going to go ahead and start off with as the worst ability, as the not the worst, but the 5th worst ability to throw on your Warframe. And we went ahead and we threw them on a Hydroid to demonstrate all of these principles. Essentially, you're going to see when I activate these abilities, they're not going to do anything to an enemy. And sometimes the ability just entirely goes away, so you can't even use it for the remainder of the mission. So these really have negative effects versus like an ability that you would have indefinitely throughout the game. These abilities, they don't work in the player's favor. They're not really good for anything inside of the game, and oftentimes they're just so bad that they even cancel each some of these abilities even cancel each themselves out when you use it. So you'll cast it, it won't do anything, or it was supposed to have an additional effect and it doesn't do that effect. So we're going to go over those abilities, and I don't know if DE just needs to update these abilities, or if these abilities just they were just awful from the get-go, or they were just trying to hash them out, or what was going on. But we're going to go over all of these abilities and why they are by far the worst. And to do that, we're going to demonstrate this by going to the simulacrum. Again, inside the simulacrum, it's not a perfect one-for-one between gameplay and stuff, but for our purposes, for the demonstration of this video, it will present enough information in a manner that is explainable enough to the average player base. So the very first ability is going to be the Propacity ability, which I have here on. Oh, that's Master Summons. Let's see, I think I threw it on this Warframe. Propacity, essentially what the ability does is it does work in a sortie because this is an ability, so it doesn't actually get removed from you. So if you do struggle inside of sorties, you do have that as an option for yourself. And the ability Propacity essentially makes it so you cast it for, you expend energy, and your next hack is essentially a probable chance. And it does the stats do kind of sort of increase, but I don't really recommend ever throwing this on your Warframe. And the biggest reason why I don't recommend throwing Propacity on your Warframe is there are a lot of things that you can throw on your Warframe outside of that that actually helps out. The one that I can think of off the top of my head is Auto Breach. Auto Breach works in sorties as well. It's a 30% rather than 50%, also it's slightly higher, but I'll tell you right now, you're going to find that a lot more. They can also be, the ability entirely can be substituted for just literally getting good at hacking. If you get good at hacking, which most players in Warframe do, it's a small little puzzle. You got like 30 seconds to solve it. You can solve it. If you want to increase the time, you can increase the time with some of these mods. So that makes it really more effective for hacking. There's just so many ways to get around hacking that sacrificing one of your abilities that could actually potentially kill an enemy or utterly break your Warframe so it makes it entirely indestructible to throw on to be able to auto hack is kind of neither here nor there. You can also get into equipment. You can go into your gear wheel. So if you go into your gear wheel here and you go here, there are things that auto hack for you. They are called ciphers. You can go to the clan dojo. If you are a member of AFK Trollers, you just simply go to the Tenno lab. You go down to the basically the factory lab of ciphers. You replicate that blueprint, and you'll get literally 100 ciphers. 100 ciphers are literally populated in here. You go, as soon as you hack, you just hit Y and it auto hacks for you anyways. These don't work in sorties though. The ability does, so it's a trade-off. Maybe if you suck that badly at sorties, maybe you do need the ability. But for the most part, if you have a cipher or something, you really don't need to, and you do have the augment for your Parazon. So it's really not anything that's necessary to throw on your Warframe, and you're literally taking away an ability from your Warframe and sacrificing it just to be able to auto hack something. In Warframe, it's not really all that necessary, and really you're going to be hindering yourself in the long run by just switching that out. Plus, you're sacrificing resources in order to be able to put that ability on. So it's all around just not really a good idea to throw on. The 4th worst ability that you can throw on your Warframe aside from Probacity, is going to be Master Summons. And let me go ahead and demonstrate the way this works. I'm going to go ahead and throw on a companion here. Let's see what companion. We don't have a companion here, so let's go ahead and throw one on. Let's not throw that one on because that one seems to last forever. Let's throw on Osteoporosis. Now, the reason why this one is the fourth worst ability, take for an example, this is where it's going to be most effective. It's going to be for your generic Kubro or your generic Kabat. So I'm going to make myself invincible. That way you can see the companion die, but I won't make the companion invincible. And we're just going to go up to the enemy. So here the companion is following me. I'm going to have it go in there. Here it is. They're going doing all that. Here comes my companion. And we're going to wait for it to go down. It's going to go down any second now. And it's down. So I can activate it, and it puts it right here next to me, and it's up. Okay? Now, when it goes all the way down and officially down, as long as you activate it before that timer runs to 0, you can bring your companion back. However, I'm going to let it die in the next 13 seconds, and you're going to see why this ability essentially becomes negligible after a certain point. So if you don't have a whole lot of mods and your companion dies anyways, this is essentially what happens. So here he goes. He's dead. I'm going to go ahead and try to activate the ability. And I activated the ability. I just lost the energy, and it's not back. It literally goes away. Essentially, I can sit here and I can keep on activating the ability and I can keep on expending the energies, but my companion will never come back. So literally, I've lost an ability at the cost of trying to make it so that my companion comes back. In order for this ability to be revamped and become better, if it actually auto-revived your companion, then this would actually be worth something. It would even add value to your sentinels. If it brought your companion back to life, like literally revived your companion, that actually might be worth it, because then say you're in a long endurance run and maybe you do have a high timer on your companion, say like 2 minutes or something, and all of a sudden it dies because you weren't able to get to it in the 2 minutes or whatever, and then you casted the ability and insta revived it and brought it back to you. Maybe that might be worthwhile. Maybe there's an ability that you were using that wasn't worthwhile to it, and that would literally add numbers to it, and it would no longer be in this category. But since once your companion dies, it's null and void, then it does not even matter. The same problem happens with Sentinels, since Sentinels just automatically die and never come back anyways, unless you have that revive mod, which only works every now and then, because it's very inconsistent and you can't cast that ability to bring those back either. Sentinels are also devalued because of that, so Sentinels are in some cases the worst companions to have because of that. So at a certain point, it's no longer available. It's just it sucks. So now, the next ability that we have here that we're going to go over is going to be called Expedited Suffering. Now, this ability, everybody, like when you look at it and you read it and it sounds really cool, but then when you put it into practice, it is just as bad as it would sound. So I'm not going to really need anything. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and kill all these guys real quick. Since I am invincible, I'm going to go ahead and let's kill all these guys. I'm going to de-equip my companion because I don't want my companion to be killing these guys while I'm doing this. But the way Expedited Suffering works is it's only in a cone, okay? Now, because it does require rank 10 in order to get this ability, you would think that it would actually be worthwhile to go get, since usually the general idea is the more ranks that you get, the better the items you get. Well, when you hit rank 10 with the Helminth is when you get Expedited Suffering, and just because you get it doesn't necessarily mean it's all that great anyways. Like Mark for Death you get at rank 7, but this one you get at rank 10, and it's not nearly as good as Mark for Death. Even with Mark for Death, like they made Mark for Death suck anyways, and that's kind of sad because Mark for Death was actually a really good ability. It actually had utility, and it was something the players did want to use, but with the nerf in it, it's like there's so many other abilities that have just outpaced it now. So, but with Expedited Suffering here, so we're going to look at Expedited Suffering. I'm going to shoot this guy. So now, as you can see, I got a DOD procced on him. So the way Expediting Suffering is supposed to work is all the DOTs that I proc on the guys in front of me, when I activate my ability, it's supposed to take all that damage that they're supposed to deal over that time period and deal it all to them all at once. So I have electrical on, but watch this. 0. And more 0. And you can still see it has the electrical proc. And more 0. It deals 0. Essentially, I've expended all of my energy and dealt a total net damage throughout that entire time of 0. Now, why doesn't this work? Well, the reason why this doesn't work is because there's only 2 elements that work on this particular character. And the only 2 elements that work are going to be your DOT heat proc and your DOT slash proc. Since those are the only 2 status types that actually work on, it negates 80 is essentially 80% of all of the abilities or all the elemental procs inside the game. So if you do not have a DOT, if you do not have slash, if you do not have heat, if you don't have those two elemental types equipped to your Warframe, this ability is entirely useless. And in addition to it being entirely useless, the enemy's going to receive that damage over time anyways. So for the enemy to receive that damage anyways, and for you to try to basically make it so that he gets it all in one go, it doesn't even matter. So we'll go ahead and we'll do this. And as you can see, I did 26. So now, let's see, let's do it again. Oh no, that was Grendel's. Yeah, I would have to do Expedited Suffering on that guy while he's procced, but yeah, I'm not gonna throw it on my Ember. I just really am not. So you could have used it there, but I went ahead and I threw it on my Hydra. Let's see. Actually, you know what? There is a weapon I can do heat with. Let's do this. We'll switch it over to my Kuva Ogress. I know that will deal heat, and then I can show it. That would be better. So here we go. So I'm gonna shoot that. He's got heat. Then I'm gonna do Expedited Suffering. Ability not ready. It says ability's not even ready. That is awesome. Or, oh, that's because I'm on Master Suffering. So let's switch over to Expedited Suffering. Excuse me. There we go. Expedited Suffering. Okay. Here we go, here we go, here we go. Let's see, is he still procced? I don't think he's still procced. Oh, it looks like he might still be procced. Well, let's proc him again, just in case. So now he's got Toxin, he's got Heat. I'm going to go ahead and Expedited Suffering. So I did about 100 or something, and he's still got a DOT of Heat. So really, it looks like it just took elements off of him. And the reason why that's just really not good is because now that I've taken the elements off of the guy, and now my melee does less damage because I have condition overload. So because my melee does less damage, it doesn't do any good. It actually is a hindrance. So Expedited Suffering is one of these abilities. Despite it's supposed to be a damage type, it's a hindrance literally as a net. So there's really no point in throwing Expedited Suffering on, simply because it's become more of a hindrance. And it was supposed to be amazing, it's supposed to be awesome and that kind of stuff, but it's negligible. It doesn't really do anything. It's one of the abilities that literally goes away and literally makes you do less damage over time. Okay, now here's a whole bunch, and I don't know if this is just like a consensus issue or something like that, or why people think that this is good, but I'm going to pull out Banshee to show this the second worst ability to throw on. And it sounds really, really, really cool. It really, really does. And it might even sound like it even has some application, except for, oops, not silence, excuse me. You can already tell what ability I'm going for. Let's go for Banshee. And the ability that we're looking at that you can get from the Helminth from Banshee is called Silence. Now, the reason why people like Silence is to hear that the enemy gets stunned. As you can see, the enemies are getting stunned. And then you have this mod, and this sounds absolutely amazing. It's like this is mind-blowing. This is incredible. Like, who would not want this mod on here? Who wouldn't want to do this? Let's see, let's go. I think we have it here. We're going to throw on the mod right here. Savage Silence. And this sounds absolutely amazing. This sounds like it could actually work. And the way Savage Silence works is when you go up to an enemy and you melee them from behind, you're going to do a finisher. Oftentimes you'll do a finisher, but they have to be open to the finisher in order for it to work. So if they're not open to the finisher, then it doesn't do anything. But you would think that if you do have Silence and you do have Savage Silence, that you should be able to do this. So in order to demonstrate the reason why this isn't good, I'm going to actually decrease my ability range here. I do have a positive ability strength and I do have a positive ability duration, but I want to show every aspect of this. So it's supposed to develop an aurora around you. It's supposed to last for 46 seconds. As the enemies enter the aurora, they're stunned and they're limited to the tactical fire that you deal. So they're not supposed to be able to hear you. But the problem is they can still see you. And they don't have a forget mechanic like Lol does. So here we go. We're going to go ahead and throw this on. I got a heavy gunner here. We'll actually make it 20 heavy gunners because reality is that you're going to come across a lot of guys. So let's go with 20. We'll go like this. I'm going to go ahead and activate my Silence. Okay. Now I do have a limited AoE, and you're going to see the guys when they actually walk into the field. So those guys have just walked into the field. Okay. The problem is the other guys still see me and they're still attacking me. And the guys, they got back up and they're still attacking me. So now, like you would think, okay, so if there's a guy that enters, let's say, you can get him to re-enter. So I'll walk away. I'll walk away and we'll get this guy to re-enter. So he re-enters. Okay. Now I'm going to do that, except for these guys, because of the large AoE. All these guys, they still see me. They're not immune to my damage and stuff like that, and I can't melee them once in their roar. So they're not truly stunned. So what you're actually seeing isn't even a stun proc. That proc that you're seeing is a knockback. Now a knockback is not a stun. A knockback actually alerts the enemy to your presence. And the enemies will actually get other enemies to come after you, which is why they're still attacking me. If you take Savage Silence and you take this into a mission with you, you will struggle. And that's because you're getting an alert proc on them, as well as you're getting an alert proc, as well as it going away. So it's like they're just getting knocked back for a second, and I can't melee them anymore. As you can see, they're not able to be meleeed. All these guys were in Aurora. This guy, he's now in the Aurora. Maybe I'll go up and melee him. Nope, I wasn't there in the second time that I needed to be. So if you do like a small Aurora, maybe I can get these guys. But no, see, I can't get that guy, so I have to get that guy. Meanwhile, the guys are still attacking me from the guys that have left the Aurora. So if you build for range, it's counterintuitive. So maybe if you build for negative ability range, you would think it would work. So let's go ahead and build for that and see if we can get any more results. See if we can get the guys to stop firing at us. And you're going to see real quick that the guys, they can't stop firing at us even with the negative ability range. Let's see. We got this one, that's a negative efficiency. Let's go maybe, what is it, narrow-minded? Oh, it's right there. We'll go ahead, we'll throw narrow-minded on. So this should have a negative ability range. Maybe this will get them so that when they enter inside of my Aurora, I can kill them easier. You think so? We'll go like this. Okay. So negative ability range, this guy. Except for they're still attacking me. So none of them have stopped attacking me. And now I've run out of guys that I can kill because I can't melee them and I can't finish them. So they're not opened up to finishers, and they're not opened up to finishers for very long, even when they do get opened up because of that knockback proc. So essentially, is there anything that's better than this? Because that they're totally negating one another. Yes, there is. Let me introduce you guys to LOL. And this is why that one sucks. Because watch this. This is completely... we'll kill all those guys. We'll go like this. Now, they can look at me all they want, and that's fine. Oops, let's go get some energy. I don't care if they shoot at me or whatnot. We'll go like this. And sleep. And then I can go like this. I can go like this. And they're all going to sleep. And they're not going to attack me. They're not shooting me. So because they're not attacking me and they're not shooting me, just need this guy to sleep. They can all sleep. They won't attack me. They won't touch me. Essentially, LOL is a way better Savage. They can't do anything to me. I just sit there and sleep. That is just so much better, and that was so much more effective to kill 20 guys than to go around with Savage Silence trying to get a damage buff. So if you really truly want to not get attacked, don't use Savage Silence. It's literally, they're counterintuitive. They don't open up the guys to finishers. The guys that remain in the Aurora aren't open up to finishers, and they get back up and they still continually attack you. So if that's not the worst, then what is the worst ability? And I'm so glad you guys asked. Let me introduce you to a Warframe, literally one of the worst Warframes in the game, called Loki. Now, a lot of people will say Loki's amazing and stuff like that, except for the reason why this is the worst is because not only does it not do anything, but when you do activate it, oftentimes it can damage you, and literally has it in the conditions that it can damage you. Let's read this one. Decoy Savior. Decoy Augment. If Loki takes fatal damage, Decoy absorbs the damage and swaps location, also increasing casting speed of Decoy by 50%. Okay? And then let's go ahead and go to his other augment. Maybe he's got a better augment, one that doesn't deal damage back to the owner. Actually, no, that's not true. Safeguard switch, teleport augment. After teleporting with an ally, well, no, let's see. Deceptive bond, there we go. Decoy augment, 50% of the damage Loki takes is transferred to the decoy and vice versa. So that means if the decoy takes damage, you take damage as well. And we'll go ahead and demonstrate this. They were supposed to fix this. I don't think they patched it for Xbox. It was supposed to be that they were supposed to change that condition to actually match. They didn't change it. It doesn't matter. So we'll go ahead. We'll take ourselves off of invincibility, and you can see how fast we die with this. This is literally the worst ability. If you build it for ability duration, it does nothing. If you build it for ability strength, it does nothing. If you build it for anything, it does nothing. I'll just keep. Look at that. They're just killing me anyways. I'm almost dead. I'm literally almost dead trying to activate that. It's literally done nothing. There's no aggro. There's no nothing that happens to that ability. The enemies, they literally attack it. It gets one shot. It does not matter what you do, and they just kill you over and over. Well, let's try the other augment. Maybe I'm just being facetious. Maybe I should just need to try the other augment. Let's try the other augment, and you can see how worthless this ability is. Now people say, well, maybe you're supposed to use it in junction with your invisibility. I can tell you right now, it doesn't really work in junction with your ability. It's the like you can try. You're gonna be very disappointed when you actually try to. You will go down when the going gets tough with Loki. Essentially, all Loki owners become Inaros guys. Um, so it doesn't you can't really do it. It doesn't matter. Okay. So like I'm activating. This is supposed to last for 20 seconds. I could build for ability strength and make it like be able to take more damage. And I died so fast that the game glitched out. Like I could build it for ability strength, but then it wouldn't last that long. It would actually last like 2 seconds. So it's like you build it for ability strength, it lasts 2 seconds. You build it for ability duration, it lasts 2 seconds. There's no win to this ability, and therefore it has a net zero of 0. And even when you do put it out there, for the most part, ends up killing you no matter what. So don't try putting this on your Warframe. It's not worth it. Don't try it. Literally the most worthless ability inside the game. So just to go over that list again, Perpacity is literally substituted by a whole bunch of mods and a whole bunch of other equipment. Master Summons becomes a useless ability, and you literally lose it at a certain point in the mission. Expedited Suffering has a net damage of 0, even after you, with all the plethora of elements inside the game type, all it had to do is all those elements would just, the amount of damage you had equipped to your weapon would just have to be all dealt again with every elemental type. Like, they could have done something like that, but they didn't. Silence is literally counterintuitive. You'll melee the guys and they'll get back up. They get a knockdown proc, and it kind of makes them sort of immune to that damage. If you have built it for ability range, it doesn't do anything. If you build it for negative ability range, it does even less. It doesn't synergize well with the rest of your kits oftentimes. Decoy does negative, like it actually damages you when you use it. So that is why these abilities are the 5 worst abilities. Do not use them. Do not use them on your Warframe. If anybody says that these things are absolutely amazing, just understand that they don't know what they're talking about. They haven't played Warframe for very long, and they really haven't actually taken the time to get to know the abilities. We'll catch you guys next time, and we'll catch you on Warframe Breakdown.